¿Qué pasa, Piña? Estamos en un nuevo vídeo para el canal, estamos en Raid Shadow Legend y hoy vamos a reaccionar a la cinemática de la colaboración entre Raid con Alien y Predator, luego al showcase del Alien y luego al showcase del Predator para ver si es un buen campeón, es un mal campeón o es un campeón regular. Aquí es el depredador con sus icónicas garras. Esta es mediadora. Y esa sombra que viene por ahí es el xenomorfo.
This is as far as you go. No more.
Huh? Where am I? And where's the rest of me?
Sorry, Death Knight.
Es el caballero esqueleto. El predador se va.
So,
Y por ahí
technically, I just
llega
want to fight, right?
el xenomorfo.
Download Raid to claim the legendary Xenomorph champion.
Vale, pues un cortecito y vamos con el showcase del xenomorfo. Vale, ya estamos aquí con el showcase del xenomorfo.
Hey everyone. Can you hear that skittering? That terrible hiss. Something sinister is on the prowl. Watch your corners as the Xenomorph is ready to kill. This infamous extraterrestrial horror comes to Raid as part of our Alien and Predator event and will be available for free in the Xenomorph Chase. You know the drill. Log into Raid on 7 days between November 24th and January 9th to claim the legendary champions. Once claimed, Phase 2 kicks in, giving you access to some extra goodies, including Xenomorph souls needed to awaken it. Be sure to join the chase before December 26th, or it's game over, man. Game over. So, we know the Xenomorph is dangerous, but let's find out just how dangerous. Its primary skill, tail stab, does exactly what you'd expect. The Xenomorph skewers an unfortunate victim with its tail, afflicting it with deadly poison. If tail stab lands as a critical hit, it'll place 3 poison debuffs instead of 1. Talk about a sting in the tail. Never one to stay out in the open, the Xenomorph then scuttles back into the darkness, placing a perfect veil buff on itself for 2 turns. With the Xenomorph in the shadows, it can unleash its second skill, Infestation. It attacks a single target, stunning it and placing the new Infest debuff on its unfortunate victim for 2 turns. Obviously horrified by this brutal attack, all other champions on the enemy team are stricken with true fear for 1 turn. Should the Xenomorph be under an active perfect veil buff, none of these debuffs can be resisted. How delightful. So what does Infest do exactly? Well, if a champion dies while infested, they unleash a wave of acid on death, dealing pure damage to their fellow party members equal to 50% of their max HP. Now, that's some body horror. The only saving grace is that this pure damage cannot crit, but it'll hurt regardless. Infest can also affect bosses, but the damage from the acid explosion is capped at 10% of the boss's max HP. Something to keep in mind, if an enemy with the Infest debuff dies while the Xenomorph is also dead, it will immediately revive with half of its HP and turn meter. Like any true horror movie monster, death is never really the end. The Xenomorph's third skill, named Rip and Claw, leaves nothing to the imagination. It lunges at the enemy, slashing at them twice. This savage attack will also deal 15% more damage for each poison debuff the target is under. Stack up a lot of poisons, and this will deal some major damage. With its attack complete, it slinks back into darkness, placing a perfect veil buff on itself for 2 turns. Gotta remember, the Xenomorph mostly comes out at night. Mostly. Should you have forgotten about the Xenomorph's wonderful defense mechanism, its Caustic Blood passive skill will serve as a swift reminder. Whenever someone manages to land a hit on the Xenomorph, there's a 25% chance of being sprayed with its acidic blood, gaining a 5% poison debuff for their trouble. This poisonous retaliation lasts for 2 turns and is irresistible if the attack was critical. That blood can melt through almost anything, so any target poisoned by the Xenomorph suffers a 20% penalty to their defense. Truly, its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. So, you're fighting as the perfect organism. What are your tactics to deal truly frightening damage? The Xenomorph has access to powerful crowd control, thanks to Infestation. Attack while you're under Perfect Veil, and you can land 3 irresistible debuffs. While the Xenomorph is adept at placing poisons, you'll want to pair it with another poisoner to make its assault truly lethal. After all, Rip and Claw gets a 15% damage boost for each poison on a target. If you have another champion with ally attack on the team, the Xenomorph can be constantly pumping out poison debuffs via its tail stab. As such, you'll want to boost the Xenomorph's crit rate and accuracy to take full advantage of the tail stab and consistently land poisons. Speed and attack will be just as important too. Should the Xenomorph's HP get low, try to land an Infest debuff on the weakest enemy champion. That way, even if the Xenomorph goes down, you've got a few turns to dispatch the infested enemy and get a free Xenomorph revive. Not to mention that nasty little acidic surprise should keep enemy healers busy. And that's it for this champion spotlight. Join the Xenomorph chase ASAP. You never know when this alien horror might come for you.
Vale, pues un cortecito y vamos con el campeón que nos queda, que es el depredador. Vale, pues ya estamos aquí con el showcase. Bueno, más que el showcase son primeras impresiones tanto del xenomorfo como del predador. Os traeré yo los showcase de todos los campeones, incluidos estas 2 pedazos de bestias.
Hey everyone, Talarians speak whispers of a mirage that stalks its enemies from the shadows. There's no point running. You can't escape from the Predator. The second star of our special Alien and Predator event. This ferocious Yautja hunter joins the ranks of the Lizardmen as a legendary HP-type champion. He'll be available from a special champion pass that runs from November 24th, 2025 to February 24th, 2026. Keep in mind, you'll need to get and start the Elite Champion Pass before January 23rd to recruit the Predator, so don't dawdle. Now, let's see what this honor-bound warrior is capable of. We'll start with his passive skill, Yautja Cloak. Using his signature optical camouflage, he'll place a perfect veil buff on himself at the start of each round in battle. The Predator also gets a 50% chance to evade enemy skills before he takes his turn. Once the Predator is moved though, that chance drops to 0%. It can be raised back up to a maximum of 60% by doing what the Yautja do best, hunting their prey. From under the camouflage provided by Yautja Cloak, the Predator can lunge at his prey with his first skill, Wrist Blades. A single attack and a 30% self-heal is a pretty decent skill in and of itself. But if the Predator manages to evade an enemy skill, he'll counterattack with his skill every time. Stack up those skills, boost the evade chance, and watch the Predator carve through his targets. Smart Disc is the Predator's second skill, and there's a lot happening here. At its core, the skill is simple in attacking all enemies twice. But there's a lot going on under the hood of this Yautja weapon. Here's how it works. The initial target of the first hit will receive 75% more damage before the disc bounces to every other enemy target in a random order. Each subsequent target hit will still receive more damage, but by 15% less than the previous enemy hit, dropping down to a minimum 15% damage increase. If you're fighting a team of 3, the first enemy hit receives 75% more damage. The second enemy receives 60%, and so on. The first hit will also destroy each enemy's max HP by 30% of the damage they receive. Still with me so far? The second hit essentially works in reverse, with the initial target receiving 15% more damage, and each subsequent enemy receiving an additional 15% damage bonus, stacking up to a maximum of a 75% damage increase. Whew, that's a lot of numbers. That weapon's gotta be from outer space. One more thing. If the Predator is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff, this attack will ignore 15% of each enemy's defense as well. We've saved one of the Predator's most iconic weapons for last. His third and final active skill is Combi Stick Throw. It's another single target strike. But this time, the Predator places a Hunter's Gaze debuff before attacking. That debuff, by the way, can't be resisted if the Predator is under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. If the attack takes out the Predator's target, they'll receive a Block Revive debuff, and the Hunter's Gaze debuff is placed on another random enemy for 1 turn. Same as before, that Hunter's Gaze debuff can't be resisted if the Predator's under Veil or Perfect Veil. Should the attack fail to kill the target, however, the Predator retreats into the shadows with a Perfect Veil buff for 2 turns. With his pride bruised, the Predator's motivation grows. He'll get a 50% turn meter boost to get back in the fight. Remember, if it bleeds, he can kill it. Quick last thing, in case you've not yet fought the Chimera, Hunter's Gaze is a debuff that means any incoming damage can't be decreased, blocked, or otherwise prevented. It'll ignore unkillable, block damage, increased defense, you name it. Hunter's Gaze ignores it. However, incoming damage can be evaded, so watch out for slippery customers. Okay, that's the Predator's kit. So here's some recommendations. His ability to dish out damage is already impressive, but increases to his HP, critical rate, and critical damage to further increase the damage output wouldn't go amiss. Don't forget about that all-important speed as well. You ain't got time to bleed. Lastly, some accuracy will help to land the Hunter's Gaze debuff in case the Predator isn't under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff. We've also dropped a few gear set suggestions to help you decide on a build. And that's everything, folks. No ghosting here. Just a heartfelt thanks for watching our champion spotlights on the Xenomorph and the Predator.
Bueno, pues ya ha sido el vídeo de hoy. Recordad que si te caes, hacerlo paso a paso, pero siempre haciendo caso. Adiós.